I'm just gonna say I couldn't hear anything Austin said.
Okay, that's all right. He wasn't talking bad about you.
Okay, well, I figured he wasn't doing that, or maybe he was, but that's probably why he muted me out of it. But
Rodeo time. Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. Today I have two special guests, and these two guests have had some success in their career in various ends of the arena, but they've joined together now. One, the general manager of the Carolina Cowboys, Austin Dillon, and the newly acquired Carolina Cowboy, we have the one, the only, that Derek Kolbaba right there. Derek, thank you. Austin, thank you for joining us. Hey, Austin, I got to ask you, I know you've loved rodeo, loved bull riding your whole life, but now you're taking on a new role. And for everybody that's seeing Austin, you can see the background. He has some, NASCAR suits on because he is, was it 2018, the Daytona 500 champion, along with other major wins in your career. But man, Austin, coming from the NASCAR background to bull riding, what has that transition been like for you?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, when my grandfather wanted us to look into the opportunity of becoming, possibly an owner of a team and PBR teams, and we looked at some of the early, draw ups of what the league could look like, and when he said, "Hey, let's do it," and I want you to be the GM, then I knew I had to go to work and study, and so I spent the whole summer watching every PBR event I could watch. Started watching rodeo events, looking up all the guys that had signed up for the draft, and this has been a 3-year process for us. The first year we managed the team and we treated it just like it was ours. The second year we ended up picking up our option and buying the team, and now we're here in year 3 and really proud of the start that the Carolina Cowboys has had. This is what we've been looking for since the beginning, because we feel like we've fielded some strong teams in the past, but this year it's a little different. Having the guy that you got on the show across from me here, Derek, has been a big addition to our team. I felt like it's really brought the glue inside the locker room that we needed, and getting everybody healthy has been great too. But I told Jerome just the other day, it's a great feeling when you go into a game and you don't feel like there's a spot in the lineup that, man, I don't know if we're going to get this one road. Every game, I feel like we have a legit shot to go 5 for 5, and we're trying to get those percentages up. That's what Jerome preaches about each and every weekend, and we've been able to start the year off strong, and we just want to keep that train rolling.
Well, and I love you guys' locker room aspect. I get to go in there and visit. One, the snacks are amazing. Tiffany Davis does a great job with the snacks. But Coach Jerome Davis is one of those guys I looked up to in my career, not only after his injury that, put him in a wheelchair, but how he lived his life after that and how he's living it now with this team. And Derek, you're getting to experience that. You were on the Oklahoma team last year, sustained a neck injury and had to sit out, and now you're back on this Carolina team. But I got to ask you, when you were on the Oklahoma team and you looked in the locker room at Carolina and you seen all those gold buckles, all those guys that were so capable of getting the job done, now you're part of that team. That's got to be a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. I mean, you look at that team and just the way it's put together, and the guys and the gold buckles that are with the Carolina Cowboys. I mean, that's who you want to run with. Winners ride with winners. And, I've always put my gear bag down next to Cooper and Sage in the locker rooms before, but now being on that team and having that team aspect, it's just so respectable how those guys, carry themselves and the way that they go about this sport and the way that they go about their life. It just continues to make me want to get better and that's just it. Kind of like what Austin said, we're just striving to get a little bit better each day. And whether that's 1% each day, we're still getting better.
Well, and like I said, I get to go into all the locker rooms when I'm at the events, and your guys' locker room has a little bit different vibe in it, and I really like it, especially after what happened on Saturday night, which, Austin, I know you probably seen it. You weren't at the event, but you heard and seen about it with Adriano Salgado, the clock hitting zero supposedly before he nodded. Rode his bull, was going to be 2 for 2, and it was almost one of those moments where it could have really drug the team down. That negativity of not getting the score when you guys felt like you should have. You guys went on, won the game. When I walked in the locker room, what I loved about it was Sage and everybody was like, listen, we can't control what the judges do. All we can do is control what we ride. And Tiffany Davis came in and said the same thing. It's over, guys. Let's focus on, we won. Let's focus on that. And, let them handle what mistakes were made or weren't made, whatever, the situation was. But that's the type of attitude that every locker room needs to have. You can't worry about what the judges are doing. You got to worry about riding your bulls. And you getting to be in there and experience that. Not that you didn't have it in the other locker room, but I feel like from times the locker rooms I've been in, that is a completely different vibe.
No, I think that's something that we've all kind of gotten sunken into our heads at the very beginning at training camp. What can we control? And that's what we need to focus on. And in bull riding, there's always so many different things that moving parts that you feel like you need to, put your energy into. But at the end of the day, you have no real, control over that outcome. And what the judges do, the calls, we can't control that. The only thing that we can control is showing up and riding the bull that we have drawn that day. And, our goals don't change whether, we go 5 for 5 or have a little rough spell in the middle. Everyone's there for the same goal in mind. And, I think that's one of those things that kind of is pushing us in the direction that we're going, is just making sure that our standards are set and live by them.
Well, here on the Luke Branquinho Show, we do a little rodeo trivia. I'll ask a couple questions. I'm going to pause. You guys try to answer. If you get it right, maybe I'll give you a prize. Who knows? It's a fun thing about the Luke Branquinho Show. A lot of surprises. First question. I'm going to read it off my phone. I'm getting to the age where I need a little bit of glasses to get these close letters, so I'm going to hold it away from me. What is the term used for a horse that is very good at bucking cowboys off? You could also use this term for a bull that is very good at bucking cowboys off. Austin, I got to ask because last year your team was the talk of the town. You guys made some trade acquisitions and some moves to get the Sage Kimseys or Josh Frosts to build that team. And then a pretty dismal season. And the year obviously didn't go as you expected. And I think there was a lot of people going, well, what is this Carolina team trying to accomplish? They got some of the very best talent in the world, but they can't seem to get it done in the arena. Were you guys feeling any of that pressure last year, or was it just like something, hey, we're building something, give us time?
Well, yeah, I think to answer your question, from two different ways. One, last year, and even the year before that, I feel like we were talked, and we did a good job the first year in the regular season. We fell short at the end. We won a lot of games and came up short. And then the second year, once again, we were confident with the locker room that we had and the talent that we had, and we didn't perform. So it's 2 years in a row where we felt like we didn't get what we wanted out of the results. And so you go that winter and you try and look at everything and figure out, what are we doing wrong? Some of the guys that were on our team went to other teams, did better, some didn't. And what can we do to make our team better with the guys that we've got, and bringing in the right guys in the locker room? One thing that Derek brought up, when Derek was at training camp, we asked him, what were some of the things that Oklahoma did do well when he was there? And he mentioned Lostro trying to say, control what you can control. And it's that Bill Belichick attitude where do your job, man. Let the coaches coach, let them pick the bulls, and the bull that you get, be happy with and go to town on it. And let the front office do the front office stuff, where if I got to, do my job, make sure everybody's happy, in any way, travel to, getting the contracts done right and trying to make it fun for our locker room and having the right guys in there and no negative attitudes. If you get one guy in that locker room, you talk about a locker room, it really matters. You get one guy being negative, it brings down the next guy and you start losing that focus. And we've got the right attitudes in our locker room. And I think that's a big part of it. And you look at what the Rattlers did last year and you couldn't knock them. You know what I mean? They took a team that in my mind was less talented than what we had and went out there and got the job done. So we went to work too at training camp. It was the first year that everybody really got on a lot of bulls at training camp, put in the effort. And when you got guys like Derek, Sage, and Cooper and Dillon wanting to get on bulls, it bleeds through the rest of the locker room and the younger guys, and they're wanting to get on. And man, that first day of training camp when we got on, everybody rode a bull, and the one guy that didn't got on 4 trying to make it happen. And on the 4th one, he hurt his ribs. So the effort and, the willingness to, hey, we got to work at this just because we've got 3 gold buckles on our team and guys that have done it in the past doesn't mean they're just going to hand us this thing. Right. And the guys are putting in the work, the effort. It's a redemption tour for the Carolina Cowboys. We want to go out there and prove that we are what everybody thinks we can be. And, we've had a great start, but we got to keep it rolling. And, Derek was a closer in Oklahoma too. And when I talked to him in the offseason about coming to be on our team, when he said that, after he had his injury, that his commitment level changed and his thought process on things, like he had to come back from what he came back from. You've got to truly love what you do. And right. You can see it in Derek's ride. And as soon as he come back, man, he's looked awesome and done a really good job for us. And won some rodeos right off the bat. So, bringing those people, the right people in, and our coaching staff got better too. When we got Robson, Palermo and Priscilla, it allowed us to connect with the Brazilian guys and kind of bring that locker room. I feel like Jerome and Tiffany, and then you got Robson and Priscilla. We've got the Brazilian side and the English side like covered because it's like having the same people, being able to speak 2 different languages.
Well, and you talk about commitment from your team, and we've seen that Sage Kimsey went from PRCA rodeoing and teams to just fully committing to PBR teams. Cooper Davis not riding in the UTB, fully committing to teams. You got, Derek right here, he coming off an injury, but he went out and put himself in a mindset where I'm going to go get on bulls. I know you went to Union, you went to Sisters, some of those PRCA rodeos, and to me, kind of a rehab, assignment for you, Derek, and feeling good. So the commitment you're getting from your team, and then obviously Cooper Davis he's Cooper Davis, kind of did the same thing as far as not going, UTBs as well. And then the one guy I really like and I really want to talk to you guys about is Adriano Salgado. This guy looks like he went from where he was last year to a completely different bull rider. Fairly impressive, the transition he's making.
Seeing Adriano over the last few years, when him and his brother first made their appearance over here, there was signs of obviously the talent and his capabilities. We see it in the group text every week. I mean, he's putting in the work down there with Robson, and that's what it takes, right? When you make that decision that this is what you're going to do, and the level that you want to do it at the end of the day, it's how bad do you want it, and that's exactly proofs in the pudding. I mean, he's riding outstanding, and he's putting in the time throughout the week to where his body is physically capable as well as his talent. It's like I said, everyone's feeding off of everyone right now. Like, that fires me up to see Adriano riding so well, and it just continually, makes everyone want to get better.
Austin, do you play a role in picking bulls to riders, or do you kind of just leave that up to the coaches? Do you give them your 2 cents as general manager?
Man, I tell you what, the first 2 years, I got in there and was trying to help from Pro Bull stats and talk to Jerome about it. And this year was another change. It's like, hey, we got to let the coach do all the picking. Like, it's do your job, right? We've got Jerome for a reason. And Jerome has picked every matchup this year. And it has been less of even talking to the guys about it because because Jerome's seen a lot of bull rides. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's something from our locker room that that we heard was, hey, we want Jerome to take control. And even if he wants to ask us a question about it, in the end, it's his call. So Jerome has taken over that and done a great job with the matchups. And, going back to Adriano Salgado, one thing talking to him in the offseason was like, hey, man, I saw what you did with Missouri the first year. He was an MVP candidate. I think he finished in the top 6 or 7 for MVP that first year. And the second year, he just kind of disappeared when he went to the Gamblers. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, is that fire still there? Because I'm an older brother, and I see your little brother going out there and kicking butt. Like, are you going to take back over and be the guy, competing with your brother? And he said, man, I'm ready. I'm fired up. Give me the opportunity. And you could hear it in his voice. He's got this lion mindset right now, and it brings a lot of juice to the locker room. And that's what you want. You want the juice as much as you can get of it to keep those guys fired up.
Well, speaking of juice, and I'm going to go to a completely different sport, which is obviously the sport you have had so much success in, your family sport, NASCAR. The fan base there, the first one I ever went to was Nashville. Obviously, I got to visit with you, and we talked about coming on the show. Do you feel like there is similarities between the NASCAR mentality driving as there is in the bull riding sport of the athletes? I mean, obviously we want to win first, but I mean, there's got to be that similarity of that desire, that grit, determination.
Yeah, I think it's just the commitment, right? Like when you do anything in sports or in life, it's about the commitment. Who's willing to commit and put in the effort and go the extra mile, turn over every stone to try and be the best. And in NASCAR, you got to do that because you're at an elite level. Every time I moved up in car racing, the competition gets better. And
right.
At PBR teams right now, you can see it when everybody's riding as many bulls as they're riding. The competition is stout. I think Saturday, that was probably the most amount of bulls I've seen across a team's event get rode. And, that's good for our sport. You want to see that the talent is elevating and each team is elevating each other. And the desire to not get bucked off is there. And for racing, it's the same thing. Only one winner every weekend. And there's 37 or 38 of us every weekend that or 37 of us going to lose. So
right.
You've got to find a way to, find an edge. And that's usually coming from just hard work and effort and doing anything you can to get where you need to be.
And like anything in sports and in time, things get better. And I'm not just talking about people, but equipment get better. And I'm sure it's the same with race cars. They're always improving the cars to get better, get faster, as they do with the bulls. And I know, Derek, going to you, these bulls, it seems like from 10 years ago to now, they're breeding them to be man killers. I mean, in all reality, just they are huge. I don't even like getting on the back of the buck and shoot on something because they fill them up so much. I admire you guys for wanting to get on them, but man, it's just so impressive how we evolve in NASCAR, in rodeo, in bull riding with what we have to use as tools, and the bulls are right there with it.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt that the bulls are, some days outperforming the Cowboys. Looking back, even when I first started in the PBR, I mean, just the way that it has evolved and what used to be a long round bull then and a short round is, it's two different animals, it seems like. And it's amazing how it can happen in such a short amount of time. But, like I said, for us, we can sit here and talk about how big, bad, and ranked they are, but we've kind of got to do our job to get them rode without talking ourselves out of it before we even get in the chute. But it's just, like I said, it's impressive as a fan of the sport. It's exciting to see all these yearling and 2-year-old bulls coming up and seeing what Pages is going to come out with the next year and how's Bruiser's baby's going to buck. And
right.
it's exciting to see and just a whole nother element of the sport.
Well, I got a kick out of the on Friday night there in Duluth. The announcer, I don't know if it's Chris Rankin or Clint Atkins. I can't remember which one said it, but how many here are here to watch the bull riders ride? And, there was a cheer. And then all of a sudden, hey, how many of you guys are here to watch the bulls win? And, I mean, this place erupted. I'm like, oh, that's got to make the bull riders feel good. These fans are here to watch them get obliterated. But that's what I love about the sport is you not only have fans that want to see the Cowboys ride and see big scores, but you also see the fans that want to see the Bulls perform at their highest level as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, to say that they're not an athlete would just be unbelievable. Because to me, you have a bull that weighs 15 to 1,900 pounds that is probably on a higher protein diet than I will ever think of being on.
Exactly.
It's just amazing what they're physically capable of doing. And like we said, I mean, 10 years ago, what we thought was just the biggest, baddest bull going, now they kind of don't even, hold a flame to what's up and coming. I mean, what the Pages do with their program, what Cord has established with it. I mean, it's just, it's never ending. And it's also exciting too. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to be the best, you got to ride the best. And we sure seem to find the best week in and week out here with the PBR.
Well, and Austin, you coming in, with the teams 3 years ago, and I'm not saying you didn't know how well these animals were took care of or anything like that, but did you see, I mean, was it kind of eye-opening to you when you first really got diving into it, how these animals are treated like athletes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got super interested in it enough to where I've bought 10 bulls now. So I've got half interest slots and a bunch of them. Jerome got me hooked in pretty quick. I've got one with Jerome. I've got 4 probably with HD that are coming up. And then I've also got a couple with Brandon Stewart and Josh Hilton right now. So, yeah, I've enjoyed the bull business. I was able to finish 3rd and 6th this year in the maiden. So we took home a pretty big check at the maiden event for our yearling, excuse me. And then I've got some that are just now getting rider trips on them. So that's been pretty fun to watch and keep up with. So I'm a huge advocate for the bulls and how they are, just specimens, you know what I mean? And
oh, yeah.
I think one thing that we've got to do on our side if we can bring anything from the NASCAR side is figure out how to give the riders more of an advantage from a safety aspect or, whatever it may be. I want to make the buck and shoots a little safer. I feel like a bunch of guys get banged up in there and we have some roll bar padding on our cars that cover up our, roll bars. And I swear if we could mount it to those bucking chutes, that it would keep us from breaking as many ankles and banging up as many guys that do against those steel chutes. And it's pretty easy to replace because it's just you stick it back on if it gets pulled off by a horn or something. But I think it's possible. And we just got to keep, bringing anything we can to our sport to hopefully get it one day in the Olympics and keep growing this PBR teams and whatever it may be.
It's fun you mentioned, safety in the bucking chutes because you're in a car going, I didn't even know how fast the max speed is you guys go, but I stuck my head in one when I was at the race. And I mean, you're in pretty tight quarters. Like you got the head gear deal there. You got something between your legs so your legs don't. What is that like being trapped? I say it's trapped. You stick yourself in there voluntarily, but being strapped inside that for that many hours going around.
I mean, I think if you have like anxiety or anything like that, it might be tough to get in a race car.
Or something?
Claustrophobia. That's the word I was looking for. If you're claustrophobic, it's probably not the sport for you. But I feel pretty safe. It's like a cocoon in there. I can fall asleep waiting for us to go out for a run or anything. And but you're strapped in tight, and that's the one thing with these guys. I mean, there's no roll cage,
No.
There's no belts, no nothing. And man, I've been trying to figure out ways to get more safety brought in. I've shown them different websites from the Superbike stuff and how they have, vests that like blow up like airbags. So I'm trying to slowly work it into our guys, but Cowboys are pretty cowboy, so it's hard to get that new technology brought in.
Are you calling us stubborn? You're calling us stubborn.
No, I mean,
It's okay.
I'm not going to call you nothing because I don't do what you do. But I would love to see some more safety. We are one of the only teams that wear a jersey on the outside of the vest, and you can ask Derek about that. They don't like the hot. It's kind of hot under there, but we do have the highest ride percentage, so there shouldn't be any reason to say that having a jersey on the outside it takes the ride percentage down, because that was something that I was hearing there for a minute, but. Hopefully we're working on like a skin for our vests to keep them cooler. But I told him, man, my race car, I'm like 124 degrees, so it's not that hot.
120. Do you have no AC? Obviously, you can't put an air conditioner pump on your motor. It might too much weight and all that. But yeah, so you have air just coming in through the top, kind of circulating through.
Yeah, we get clean air that comes in, and then I actually have a cool shirt too. So we cheat a little bit when it comes to that. So they don't have a cool shirt underneath their jerseys, but it's pretty bad when that thing goes out. If it does go out, you're in for a long day.
One question, because the older I get, when I travel, I have to stop more to pee.
You just gotta go, man. You gotta go. It just happens,
right.
Part of it.
Wow.
It's hard to pee yourself, truthfully, when you're strapped in.
Yeah, right. I guess so. Derek, I will say I put a jersey over my shirt. It was a New York Mavericks. I helped them celebrate their first win of the season on the post show yesterday, and I put a jersey on over my long sleeve shirt. And man, I was on that stage just soaking it up underneath. It was hot, but it sounds like Austin's got some pretty cool technology coming your guys' way to keep you cool.
Yeah, no, that's one thing about it. When we go to complaining about how hot those jerseys get, then when he starts talking about what he's sitting in for about 3 or 4 hours, I'm like, okay, well, we could probably do this for 10 seconds and then be all right.
Well, those suits hanging up behind you, Austin, those are the ones obviously you wear in races, and they have little plug-ins where you could run. They say you could run water through some of them, or is that the cool shirt you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the cool shirt. It's the undershirt, and you plug in right down by your side, and it runs cool water through the shirt side of it. But yeah, which is nice because if you can keep your heart cool, everything else stays pretty cool. So, your legs, your feet probably are the hottest thing now that we deal with. And then if the guys are really wanting to get weight out of the car every now and then, we'll take those out, the cool shirts. So but back in the day, we didn't have the cool shirts either when I first started. And, but these cars that are running now, you've about got to have them because they're a lot hotter.
So you're telling me taking the cool shirt out of the car, that little bit of weight it makes that much of a difference?
Yeah, for sure. Weight matters,
wow.
And weight matters. Just like the bull rider, when you see one with a little bit of weight on them, it matters.
True.
I mean, we got to be careful with Miss Tiffany bringing in her snacks in the locker room. Sometimes, every now and then we'll keep Dillon away from the snacks.
He won't see this. Oh, poor Dayton. I will say, between you and the Ridge Riders, that's probably the best snacks in the building. But your guys' snacks, Tiffany does do a good job. They're a little healthy. You got some bananas, some protein. They have a little protein ball. Anyway, Tiffany does a good job. Ridge Riders is all sugar. They got their guys all amped up on gummy worms and all kinds of stuff. But I do want to ask one last thing from you, Austin. Camaraderie in your sport with the other racers compared to bull riding, is it similar, or do you feel like it's not quite the same?
A little bit different, I mean, from the aspect is, you're with those guys for 36 weekends out of the year. So you're with them and you got to get along because you're going to be seeing them each and every weekend somewhat. But what I like about the bull riding deal is a lot of those guys, even on teams, you see them cheering for other guys when they make bigger rides, and because they know how hard it is. But in the NASCAR aspect, man, you're competing for somebody's bread. So it's
right.
A little tougher. And, you are in PBR, but it's a different atmosphere, I think, when it comes down to it.
When I was walking around, my wife and I down in the pit. Derek, have you been to a NASCAR race?
Yeah.
Did you go down by the pit? Because if you did, you would feel very small with their pit crew. My gosh, those are some athletes you guys have down there.
Picking a fight with those guys. That's ridiculous.
unbelievable how big those guys are. The pit crew down there help, obviously lugging gas jugs and tires and stuff around. Now, one of them did tell me that, and I'm sure you guys are all the same, but they have an actual training facility, simulators where they go in and work and do everything they need to do when they're in the pit, real life.
Yeah, our practice facility, we can do live pit stops in under cover, and they practice 3 or 4 days a week before they get to the weekend and do a lot of stops. But yeah, those guys are big humans, and we've got some big boys on our team. And I actually almost tried to get one to go start pulling rope for us. My gas man. I figure that would be. We couldn't get the rope any tighter. I feel like.
Man, I tell you what, I had to pull some ropes at Calgary for Kai Hamilton and Chase Doherty. I got a blister. Ever since I quit rodeoing, I've become pretty soft, and it's embarrassing, and I don't like to talk about it, but my wife made fun of me, so I figured I'd share it with you. It's healing up, though, in case you guys were wondering. Man, guys, I appreciate you coming on. It's you guys put an exclamation point on last weekend in Duluth with a stellar performance. Austin, great job getting the team where it's at, and obviously your addition here with Derek. And again, from last year to where you guys are at this year, I went out on a limb and said you guys are going to be the 2024 team's champions. So obviously don't let yourselves down, but more importantly, don't let me down, okay? Guys, thanks again for joining. Derek, good luck to you. Austin, good luck to you in your next race.
Thanks for the support, Luke.
You bet.
Appreciate it, Luke.
What is the term used for a horse that is very good at bucking cowboys off? You could also use this term for a bull that is very good at bucking cowboys off. We call them the rank ones. They're so rank, nobody could ride them. Hey, you want to see more in-depth details on the Luke Branquinho Show? Make sure you like and subscribe.